Hi, I'm Tony Northrup for the book Stunning Digital Photography, and I'm in Dublin, Ireland today to talk about travel photography and architecture photography. So I'll take a quick shot of these tight buildings here to kind of show you some of the problems. Now, the first problem that you might notice is that in small cities like this, the roads are very narrow and you're going to need a very super wide-angle lens to be able to get it all in. One of the things you can do is to turn your camera vertically. That'll let you get some more of the building in. Now, another problem you might immediately notice is balancing the exposure of the building and the sky. The sky is going to be much brighter than the building itself many times of the day. So a couple of things you can do there is to get up early when the sun is so low in the sky. You might also need to use a polarizing filter. The polarizing filter will darken the sky for you without darkening the building as much. I also just like to walk along the shaded side of the building. Usually that means the opposite side of the street will be illuminated by the sun. Kind of depends where the sun is in the sky. I think shooting buildings and architecture is something you can do in the middle of the day. Usually I recommend shooting during the golden hours, but during the middle of the day when the sun is right up in the sky, you can actually get both sides of the road illuminated for a good chunk of the day. So that's a good option for you. One of my favorite things is to shoot HDR. Now, HDR brackets 3 or more shots at different exposures and then blends them together on the computer. That way you can take the brightest exposure and use the darker buildings for that. And you can bring in the sky from the lighter exposures. If you do decide to shoot HDR, you can actually shoot into the sun. It's a really cool effect, and it can give you some what they call solar flare. Again, it's something you couldn't pull off with a single exposure because it would be wildly overexposed. So while for streets in Europe like this, I like to use a 17 to 35 millimeter lens. That's about a 10 millimeter lens on a smaller form factor camera. You can go even wider than that though by using a fisheye lens. A fisheye lens gives you a very circular perspective on the world. All the straight lines that you strive for in buildings will become nice and curved. It's a kind of surreal experience, but it lets you show much more of the world around you. Granted, it doesn't become very accurate. Now, if you do decide you want to get rid of those curved lines, I like to bring it into Photoshop. Now, some people are kind of photography purists and don't like to do too much post-processing, but Photoshop lets you straighten out those lines, and it's much easier than the alternative, which is using a tilt-shift lens. Depending on the streets, you might be able to get away with using a telephoto lens. Zooming in will allow you to get much straighter lines, but it will also require you to step way back. That's possible in many places in the United States. In tight streets like this, it's simply not an option. One last thing, I love night photography in the streets. It gives you an entirely different perspective. The street lights come on and they provide a different glow. You might even get to see a few stars in the sky, so bring your tripod and set it up and get those nice long exposures. As an added benefit, the long exposures will cause people walking through the scene to become blurred. So it captures the motion of the people without really showing their faces. This was for the travel and architecture sections of my book, Stunning Digital Photography. If you like this video, click like down below and click subscribe up above to see more. Also, check out my Facebook page. It's Northrup Photography. You can get a link in the description. You can also check the link in the description to buy my book on Amazon or in iBooks for the iPad. Thanks. One thing you can do to help get the entire building in from bottom to top. And there's our guest street photographer walking through.